Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. This will be a reading video. Um, I just filmed a couple of videos for my other channel, but I figured that I'm I'm actually in the mood to read, um, and I still get into the moods of reading, um, but it's been a couple of days, so I'll start pulling out the cards. And today was just, it started off super strange. So I guess well, I think there's just been a lot of different things going on. And I recently adjusted the schedule for one of the mentees because she wanted to choose a different time because of what's been going on with her electricity, and that, of course, I would be able to do a different time. So I was looking at her schedule, and then I was sending her um, where we could do the meetings. And I was also thinking about when I go back to work, I wanted to try to find a time where it would still be the same time, but generally it would be like during um, business hours. I think there were like different things on my mind and like specific things that happen in my dreams, but towards the end of the dream, um, I felt like I was in my bathroom, and then I just, that happened, which was like completely strange to me because, of course, when you're younger, and like a child, you may do things that aren't really things that you're supposed to do, but having that happen, like in your bed, like going to the bathroom, um, like that wasn't one of those things that I had growing up. So I don't even know like when the last time it was. I mean, fortunately, but unfortunately, I was wearing shorts, so um, it caught like the liquid. Of course, I did clean up, but I just thought that was so strange. And right when it happened, and right when I realized, I was like wide awake, and then the first thing that came to mind was like, oh my God, did um I get the time frame right when I was going back and forth with my mentee, because I don't know if she said keep time or if she went with like the PDT that's currently the time zone that I'm in. That was like literally the first thing that came to mind. And then the other part of it was like, oh gosh. But luckily, again, I had um clothes, so it didn't get the bed, but I still cleaned up. Um, so that might have been really TMI, but that's how I started the morning. And then um, after all that, I was like, maybe I should have like some self-care or some me time or do something. I went to the bookstore today and I feel okay. I was doing some work, um, my writing, so I was happy that I made some progress on it because um, I'm doing it ahead of time, and the topic is on fluoxetine and sertraline, and mainly the use of those medications in the US and Ukraine, and other information specifically with SSRIs. So it was a relaxing day. I didn't really do much aside from go to the bookstore and write. So now I'm here. And I remember, well, I've been house sitting for my parents, and then they got back from their vacation. Before that, I was in the loft area, and I was doing a little sewing, but I found an extension cord, and I decided to sew downstairs, so that was actually nice. But I was in the loft area before that, and it's interesting because there's like also a mirror, like when you walk up the stairs, the first set of stairs, and then there's a mirror. Uh, and then the other reflection, I feel like off of the windows, you can kind of see the top of the stairs. And I do feel like there is some other residency in terms of like the spiritual connection. I'm not gonna get too deeply into it, but I feel like I don't feel any um, unsettling type of energy from it. So I feel like it's probably like ancestors and others watching over the house because when you get into the hallway where the loft is, in between this room and my brother technically has a room across from this room, there's this wall, and it's like, I don't know if you want to call it a shrine, but my mom has a bunch of her religious items there. So it's like a giant altar of like the wall is full of stuff, and she's had them for since I can remember. So that was something. And then when I was in that area, I was like, I do see mainly things between when I'm sleeping and when I'm waking up, but I did sense and see like a shape of like it kind of sounded like they were trying to say something to me, but looking at me while I was sleeping too. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll get up. And then I called my best friend and we were talking because I was like, oh, uh, just getting myself out of that type of thing. So we talked for a long time because we usually talk for a long time. And I see my grandfather too here and there, but especially the ones that I know for sure, it's like it's almost as if I'm seeing them in real life because they come out as clear as like um a person that's um living. So and that would be my mom's father. So I have the cards. It seems like there's something that's like kind of not giving right now. Let me see. But then it comes back like to center yourself, so there is more, like it feels like there's an intention there. Let me pull out one more card. Because in the beginning is the Six of Pentacles. And there's something that's almost like short. Almost like, for some reason, I'm getting like short staff or something that's in a way that there isn't a lot of energy that is um, either put or acknowledged in an area. Because this is a card that gives, but sometimes there isn't a lot to give, or sometimes it's like kind of purposefully not given as much. And the obstacle is the Ace of Pentacles. And for this one, it's like the obstacle kind of feels like getting people on board, or like there's something that is not coming together. Like it seems like there isn't the people coming together. And I know, like, to start off the reading like that, it's kind of like, but it does seem like it gets better because it definitely progresses pretty fluently, if I would say. Because how to overcome the obstacle, which is an interesting one because you have the Nine of Wands, and that seems like it would be persistence. And you see, like, there seems like an energy that's like kind of separated from this energy. So there could be something where maybe you try something else, or you keep going at it, and it might be one of those things where maybe you don't get a lot of things in the beginning, or maybe there's a certain point, because it's the number six, so it doesn't necessarily say it's the beginning energy, but it could be like energy where there could be some like um, changes or fluctuations in that matter. Sorry, I've been sitting in this position, so I'm kind of going a little to the side, but the past is Temperance. So the past seems like there's some type of energy that was out of the midst of everything going on. There's something that like kind of centered it or made it feel more at peace. Since the obstacle is the Ace of Pentacles and the present is the Six of Pentacles, there might be like kind of like a little bit of a restart for things. And that gives me the indication that like it could be like shifting energy. Maybe it was done a certain way for a little bit, or maybe it was done for a long time, and then you tried something else, or there's something that like just changed it up that wasn't the same. Um, and so I just feel like the energies need to kind of regroup. And with the Ace of Pentacles, it looks like there's multiple people on this card, which is interesting. There's like different shadows of people in a way. So there, it kind of is like huddling together type of energy and seeing what could work. Because right now, the Six of Pentacles is kind of like, I don't know about this right now. But, so there's not that much like reciprocation in that way. Ace of Pentacles really feels like needing to get the team or like get things back on board. And then the future, you have the High Priestess at 2. So it's interesting that obstacles 1 and then the future is 2. So, but that's not at the same suit, and it's major arcana, and then the Pentacles is minor arcana. And the High Priestess, I feel like we'll have a lot of a better a lot of it. We'll have definitely a better understanding. We'll definitely have a better understanding of about the situation because right now it just seems like one of those things where maybe it wasn't that intentional about doing it this way, but like throwing, you know, the saying like throwing pasta at the wall and seeing what sticks. And that could have been like more of an exaggeration because maybe there was effort that was put in, but maybe it's not being interpreted as clearly. Um, so it was interesting because I was watching this comedian and she is from New York and the Bronx specifically. So that's like the Northeast. I'm sorry, I keep changing positions. And she was like talking about the type of communication that you have in the Northeast. And so this is like out of the comedy sketch kind of, but some of it kind of reminded me of things. So, she was mentioning like flirting in the Northeast, and again, it's not like specifically for specific a situation that I have in my head, but I thought it was interesting because I understood because she was like in the Northeast, you have like really aggressive type of direct flirting. Because a couple of years ago, not too long ago, when I was like, well, a couple of years ago when I attempted to like maybe try to go on a date in a different area that wasn't in the Northeast, um, I just was not getting the signals of the communication. And I remember there was a saying like, good thing, wait, good luck trying to give me mixed signals. I don't even understand the direct ones. And that's how it kind of felt because I was like, and I was even telling my best friend about that because I literally just went on one date in that area. And then it wasn't like with the people, I'm not saying anything about like, about that, but I was just the communication or like the what I was um what I grew up with, it was kind of like confusing me because of how direct people can be in the Northeast. And I describe the Northeast as like hardy, um, and in some areas you really build a backbone there too. But it was also interesting because I did build like one of like the places I built like such a backbone in was in that area that I was talking about because that wasn't in the Northeast because it was when I first got my foot through the door with compounding in a, well, it was a compounding pharmacy for non-sterile um, medications. Uh, and it was intense training with the owner that was telling me things. And um, I mean, she wasn't from that area either. And it was a specific area where before the administration, um, the current administration, it was outside of DC. And uh, so there's definitely, of course, it's on an individual basis, but I just thought it was interesting when she said that because like I kind of understood. So there could have been like maybe, and if it's like relationship wise, maybe some things like said and done that like maybe confuse the other person, and then this person might it might have been something that they didn't um recognize at the time that would be giving off that signal to that person. So there could have been that type of awareness either brought up through yourself, like maybe it could have just developed and maybe you thought about it, Um, it could even be like through your psyche too, if you have that type of thing going on. And of course, we have those things going on, but being specifically in tune with those things, and then maybe there could have been an instance where somebody told you, and it could have been like directly or indirectly. Like maybe they were giving like the signal of indirectly being like, not sure about that, and maybe like you were getting that part of the signal. Um, so there can be like a change in energy in that way. But the overall energy, again, with like the persistence that you kind of get with the Nine of Wands, because the Nine of Wands can be something of like fatigue because it's like 9 going into 10 at some point, and in the minor arcana, it's 1 through 10. Um, the Emperor, even though it's at 4, it does kind of have a boost of energy because it's um, linked to Aries, and Aries is in the beginning of the zodiac, so it it kind of makes me feel like the having like something ignite in that way. Then you have Wands too in the middle. So the oracle cards that I have are healthy lifestyle, Archangel Raphael, eat a healthful diet, get adequate sleep, and exercise regularly for optimal health. Beloved one, Archangel Chamuel, I'm helping you with your spiritual soulmate relationship. And it's interesting with healthy lifestyle because it kind of reminds me of certain things. Um, and it also reminds me like of shifting energies too. So sometimes like it does look like it might go a little bit into what we do and what we say, like our actions and stuff, because it might need a little bit of a shift of energy with seeing the beginning cards with the Six of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles in the first two positions. And I would say a little bit, a lot, kind of, because they're pentacle energies and they're earth. So it feels like it's kind of harder to move earth, if that makes sense, than other elements. Like with the movement of air or fire, even water, there's the movement that like kind of molds itself in a way, or takes that shape of what it's in. But earth is really, it has like a heavier type of aspect to it and can be harder. Not always, but a lot of the times. So it does seem like there's progress because of with the helping with your spiritual soulmate relationship. And I was mentioning this, not here, but um, I wanted to take more D3, where I haven't been taking D3, but I wanted to, and I did, and it felt nice to take it. It wasn't like um, a high IU, but I know one of the pharmacists that I was just working with was mentioning that she got her husband into taking D3 almost religiously because he was reluctant to take it, and then once he started taking it, like it made such a big difference. And I'm not like trying to take like random things, but um, I do feel like it would help based off of like my lifestyle and what I when I do, and I feel like it would fit, and I did take one today, and I'm happy that I did. So the other cards are Archangel Uriel. Pay attention to thoughts and ideas that come to you as they are answered prayers. And then I'm shifting the cards kind of. So this one's kind of really moving forward. Hopefully that's forward in the video. So it really does feel like there's something that is the catalyst type of energy, even though again it's not in the beginning necessarily. But it does feel like it takes more initiative because it's almost like putting that care into something, and it pushes you a little bit because it might be necessary. And then passion, Archangel Haniel, trust and follow your renewed passion in your love life and career. So I feel like that could be part of the ignition too. Um, I'll just pull out one more card, maybe. Sorry. So it does seem like there's a lot of like loaded energy with it. Um, I saw the 5 and 6 of Wands, so I'll keep that as the last card. But I did have a couple other cards just because, like, um, I did want to keep the what I was seeing in the cards and not just saying like, oh, this is gonna be like this or this is gonna be like that. Um, because I was really going for the 9 of Wands, how to overcome the obstacle, but it seems like there's different things. So it could be like busy, 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 which is not surprising because the first couple of cards I got was 8 of Cups with the 4 of Cups and um, the 5 of Cups with the 4 of Wands. So there might be something, so just to say before I get into the other cards, of even though they came before, it's kind of like the 4 of Wands is a nice centering, grounding, foundational card. It's like foundational enough to where you feel elated by it, like you're excited and you're happy with those types of results. It's something that makes you feel comfortable and grounded because it's 4 and that's more of a foundational number. You get into 5 with the 5 of Cups. It's in a different suit, and then there's the 8 of Cups. Uh, 5 came after 8, so it does backtrack a little bit, but and then there's the 4 of Wands. So it might be kind of like shifting and remembering how the energy was before and maybe seeing how to optimize what you're doing or the situation. So it does seem like you might be backtracking and covering certain points or groundwork in that way. Um, Even though the Eight of Cups is kind of like moving forward in a way where something wasn't really jiving with the energy, as I was mentioning right from the beginning, but it got better. Um, the Five of Cups, it really kind of says to me that because it's like a card that can be described as like crying over spilled milk. And that energy is kind of like it's not as deep as it seems. Um, and there's something that just really, I feel like it's a little bit of a reassuring type of energy to really make it so maybe everyone's happy or everyone's on the same page or understands like the situation. Um, so it's not really um since there's cups there, it's not really like hurting anybody or there's fire and water, so there's like it could be that type of friction in that way. So maybe trying to soothe the situation in the reading. And then there's interesting cards with the Ten of Swords with the Devil card. Um, and then these three cards, well, the Five of Swords with the Ten of Cups and the Star card, Major Arcana, Devil Major Arcana, but it ends with the Six of Wands. So it does go into a nice direction. I feel like the beginning of the reading is kind of like trying to find the path or trying to find your way. It seems a little rocky in the beginning. Um, with the Ten of Swords, I do feel like there's something that maybe gets put into perspective or even announced or even like um it seems like an addressing thing, like maybe this thing or that thing happened and now it's the 10, so it's towards the end. Usually with the 10 of swords, it's has more an intense type of interpretation with it, even if it is minor arcana. And it does have like the devil there too. So, and it kind of just feels like the fireball type of energy that I'm getting from the devil card there. And linking to the Eight of Cups. And there's, even though it's cups, there's still like the fire there too. That kind of lights the way. I do feel like it could be like a shift of thoughts, ideas, like ways of pursuing or doing things. Because with the devil, with the Ten of Swords, it's not really giving great um, perspective there. Like there does seem like maybe confusion because like I don't know what the symbol is specifically, but it kind of reminds me of like alien symbol. Um, Again with going into there's something that is maybe the opposite or not exactly on the same page more intensely because the devil card is there. I was also telling one of my other friends, because she helps me a lot in the organization, about being like having like human tornado tendencies, and sometimes like you have a lot of drive and energy, but it also depends like where you're putting it, and that could be like where the human tornado comes into play. Um, where if it's not directed into something that's super like practical or maybe just not in the right place, it you can really see maybe the consequences or repercussions of those actions. And with air and fire, like fire from that devil card, with the air from the swords, specifically in the suit, because sometimes they switch the elements with it, it kind of feels like things just seemed a little more than what it needed to be. It was like out of hand, out of control type of situation. Um, the Five of Swords is one that I would get pretty frequently in the beginning of these readings, in the Ukrainian readings, where it honestly feels like being on the same page or being working together in that way, which is an interesting way of reading the Five of Swords. Sometimes because with the Five of Swords, it could be really going in and bringing that opponent down in some way. Um, and it could be like psychologically, it could be like in um, a mind type of game or like even communication, bringing it that much um, far into it. Because it could be like more of the talk of like the intensity that it could be kind of cruel in that sense if it's that type of Five of Swords situation. But you have the Ten of Cups and the Star card, and Cups kind of linking to like the emotional love aspect of things, and 10 kind of finding that community, which it kind of looks like with the Ace of Pentacles and the Star. I do feel like this is a reassuring energy after all that being said. And then you get I saw the Five of Wands, which there could be a little like push and pull there with the energy, but overall, the Six of Wands, it does seem like there is a centering in a way because um, traditionally you do see like it could be soldiers or people coming back to their hometown in the card. Um, that's how I saw it, and there's recognition there. So it seems like something comes back into center, or it goes into a direction that is rewarding for the actions that were taken. So that was the reading. Hopefully, it wasn't too this way or that way, but I felt like maybe a reading would be nice this time around. So I'll see you in another video.